Hello friends, welcome to Joy of Life. So before we proceed with this episode, what I would like to tell you is that if you have not seen the system design introduction video wherein we have discussed about the architecture of this mini project that we are building, I would highly recommend you to check the same. I will leave a link to the description as well so that you can click, check the same and then get back onto the video. In the last video, we have seen how to use Zuul, how to configure the gateway, but we saw certain problems, right? We are hard coding the URLs over here. And if there is a new URL that we need to register, we have to come here, update the application properties. So today we are going to look at how service discovery helps us over here. So if you remember, we have created this diagram wherein we have shown the usage of Zuul, right? And what we have been doing over there is we have hard coded the URLs over here, right? And based on this URL, what Zuul was doing is it was routing it to the respective services that we have created. So what we are going to do next is we are going to introduce a discovery service. So let's understand how it works. So let's say this is our discovery service and let's give it a name of discovery. So this is going to work as a discovery service for me. So you can relate it to like your contact list on a mobile phone wherein everything is registered, right? So we just need to find the name and just call it, right? We don't need to remember the phone numbers. We can just do a lookup by the name and we can get it done, right? And we can call these guys over here on the right hand side, whatever we have, we can call them as clients. So each one of them is a client. So the moment the service is up, the client is up, what it first do is it register himself with the server. So we have an entry over here. And similarly, even when the next service is up, he will do the same. And same goes for each one of the service. So the moment each service is up, they are going to register with the discovery server. And discovery server is going to maintain this list. And this gateway is eventually going to contact the server to retrieve the URL. And we are not going to maintain this mapping that we did previously on the gateway. So this is much more dynamic in nature. And now let's say the client goes down, this client goes down. So discovery service knows that this client is registered with me and we have enabled the actuator. We need the actuator over here. So if you remember, we have discussed about the actuator in one of the previous videos. So it will go ahead and continuously keep checking the client is healthy or not. It is up and running or not. If it is not, it will be taken down. And we are going to see this in a lot more details when we are going to configure our discovery service. So what we'll quickly do is we'll head over to start.spring.io and we'll try to create our first discovery service. So let me name it as discovery and same name com.joyoflife.discovery. And let me get rid of this. So let's call it discovery service. And the dependency that we'll need over here is Eureka. We are going to use Eureka server over here. And we'll go ahead and generate the project. And we are going to save this. Now we are going to import this project. So the project is being opened. So it's loading up the artifacts. So give it a minute. So in the meantime, we'll start our containers. So nothing is running. So I will just go ahead and start Redis, Cassandra, Mongo. So all of them are up, and we are also going to need the Kafka. So Docker compose up Kafka. So it's been created. I think we are good to go. We'll just open another command prompt to verify what all is running. Docker ps, and we have everything running over here. Kafka, Zookeeper, Redis, Cassandra, Mongo, everything is up now, so it's fine. This is still not loaded. Let's give it some time. Okay, in the meantime, what we'll do is we need to update our older application. So the first one is HTML worker. So I'll just go ahead and change, since we'll be running them from the local. So let me put everything to 127.0.1. So I'm just running all the infrastructure from the Docker, and the remaining things, let's run it from the local. So it will be easier to start and stop again and again. So the only thing is that we need to change the port. We should use some other profiles, but let's create that later. I think we are good to go. We have updated everything here, as I see. Yeah, this is good. URL feeder service is good. And since I mentioned that we are not going to hard code the way we have been doing over here, so let's get this commented. I'll keep this commented so that you can refer back to them. And let's head to the discovery service. Well, it's still struggling, as I see over here. It's still going on. I don't know what all is being downloaded. I've been away for some time now. So yeah, it's been loaded up now. I can see it up. Okay, that's cool. So we'll quickly take a look at the POM. So you can see over here that we have added the Eureka server by Netflix. And also we have the Spring Cloud version. That's also cool. I think we are good for now in this part. So we'll go ahead, we'll see what needs to be done over here. So this application over here is going to act as a discovery server, right? So we are going to enable Eureka server. So when you say enable Eureka server, this will act as a server, and when you say it's a server, it is also going to act like a client. So we are going to go ahead and change the properties file, and we are going to tell him not to act as a client. So we are going to go ahead and change the properties file over here. So let me put the server port first. So let's say we are going to run this on 9001, and let's give it a name, spring.application.name, and let's give it a name of discovery. So, and also we are going to specify over here that eureka.client.register with Eureka as false. I don't want the server to register itself. This might be essential if you have multiple server, you should do that. In our case, we are going to have only one discovery service, so we are going to say that do not register yourself, right? And also we are going to say that you don't need to fetch the registry as well. The fetching of the registry is only for the gateway and the other application. So we are going to also specify this to false. One of them is enable self-preservation to false, and the response cache update interval to 15 milliseconds. There are several other properties that you can go ahead and explore. I'm going to talk through a few of them that we are going to add over here as well. So Eureka instance hostname is localhost, and every 15 seconds it should go ahead and renew it, right? And Eureka instance lease expiration duration to 15. So every 15 seconds it's going to expire the lease, so the client need to register back again. So what we are going to do is that is all from the change. We are going to play around with this a little. So let me run this service that we have just created, and let's see what we get. So mind it, none of our services are acting as a client as of now. To make them work like a client, we need to do several things. Here we got some errors. So not compatible. 2.6.0 snapshot is not compatible with the Spring Cloud version. So we are going to go ahead and fix this first. So it's recommending that change the version to 2.5.x. So what we are going to do is we are going to update or rather downgrade the version to one of the older version of Spring. So what I'll do over here is I will change the version to 2.5.2. With 2.5.2, the Spring Cloud version that is compatible is this one. I'm not sure if this is compatible or not. I'm sure that this is compatible, so let me put the compatible versions over here. So we have 2.5.2. Along with that, we have the Spring Cloud version 2020-03. Well, this time it has started, so we just need to do this Maven re-import again. It was otherwise not picking up the changes, and now you can see that it is up and running fine. And it's supposed to run at 9001. So what we'll quickly do is we'll go and try it out at 9001. So you can see here that it is up, and environment not applicable, data center not applicable, uptime is about 0 minute 0 second, and lease expiration is enabled, and there is nothing that is registered with it for the moment, right? So what we are going to do is we'll start with our HTML file worker. To change this HTML file worker, there are few things that we need to do. So let's see them, let's understand them, why do we need to change them, and let's get it done. First thing is that we need to give it a name so that it shows up in the console that we have seen over here. So there is a name field over here, the application, which is nothing but the name field. So let's give it a name. So to do that, what we need to do is we have to just say it spring.application.name is the name that you want it to give, URL feeder service. So this is going to be the name of our application, and a few other things that we need to add over here. And before that, we need to register this application as a client, right? If you remember this diagram over here, so it needs to register itself back. So we need to add the dependency for Eureka client. You can easily find this details from any of the Maven repository website. So you can also copy it from here. I'll be posting this entire thing on the GitHub, so you can get it from there. So we are going to add the dependencies over here, so both for the actuator and for the Eureka client only. Do keep in mind that we need the Spring Cloud as well, so you need to add dependency management if you haven't done so earlier. So you need to add the dependency management after the dependencies part over here. And over here you have to specify the Spring Cloud version, and the Spring Cloud version is typically dependent upon the version of the Spring Boot application that you are using. So we are using 2.5.0 over here, and we have to use a compatible version. So for compatibility, you can check many sites over here. Spring has it documented, so we are going to use 2020.00. Oops, my bad, it should be under the properties, not on the parent. It should be here. Yeah, so let's do so I have added the Spring Cloud version over here, which is 2020.0.0, which is compatible with 2.5.0 Spring Boot version. You will find all these details on the Spring website easily. And I have also added the dependency management over here, since we are using the Spring Cloud framework. Since we are using the Spring Cloud dependencies, so we need to add this, and I'm going to do a re-import, and once this starts looking good, I don't see any problem. The error is also gone. So now in the application, we have added a lot of enable this and that, and now again we need to enable Eureka client. So we have to enable this as a Eureka client. So this will now act as a Eureka client, and now I need to tell this application that where it should go ahead and check for the details that it's looking for. So we have already given it the name. Now a few things that it needs is it needs the default zone. So the default zone is nothing but where your Eureka server is running, the localhost 9001 Eureka. And we are also going to tell that it to prefer the IP address. And at the same time, since we have added the actuator, we need to enable the actuator. So if you remember from the last tutorial, our security enables false, and we are including everything. Now if we start this application over here, so that is all the change that we are going to do in this application. So now if I go ahead and run this application, so it's coming up, and I don't see any problem. It's coming up fine, but again the Spring Boot version is causing some trouble over here. So let's go ahead and check what is it. 2.5.0 is not compatible. I cannot use 2020.00, so I have to use the appropriate version, and the appropriate version for this is 003 as far as I've seen, I guess. So let me do a quick re-import again of the Maven dependencies, and let me try to run again. Well, it's good. Let's try to see if this comes up now. So do check your Spring Cloud version and the parent version for your Spring Boot application. So there could be a mismatch sometimes. So there is nothing to worry. You will find them easily on the site. So this time you can see that it's up. And now if I reload this, you can see that URL feeder service over here. So I think I have goofed up something. The name is HTML worker and not URL feeder service. So let me change this. So let me just rerun this again. So the name would be HTML worker. Let me just rerun this again. So yeah, it's coming up. It won't take much of your time. And you can see that I have HTML worker, and the URL feeder service was registered previously, so it is still showing up. But if you remember that we have this renew thresholds, right? We have configured this renew threshold, and there is the renews, that how many renews that has happened within the stipulated period of time. So what will happen is, if it does not hear back from URL feeder service for some time, so let's give it a minute, what it will do is it will go ahead and take out this URL feeder service from this list. That is totally dependent upon the threshold that you have configured. Okay, so in the meantime, what we'll do is we will go ahead and make the changes for our URL feeder service. So similar changes, let it go on for some time. I'll show you that it has been taken care of. So what I'll do is I'll make the URL feeder service ready by then. So once again, what I'll do is I will go ahead and put a name over here. So spring.application.name, and let me put as URL feeder service. I won't start it unless I show you that it is gone. And again, I am going to add those 4 properties that we have done for the HTML worker, right? So what I'll do is at the bottom over here, I'm going to add these 4 properties. So these are nothing but those same properties, but do keep in mind this will still not work unless and until I go ahead and add the dependencies in my POM file. So in my POM, again, I have to add both the dependencies. So let me show you over here. So in my POM, what I'll do is I'll put the dependencies over here. So again, the Eureka client and the actuator, and I have to add the dependency management for my application. So once the dependencies is closed over here, I'm going to add it over here, and we need to add the Spring Cloud version. And for our application, this is a good learning. I feel we are using different version for all the different. So this is 2.4.5. So the dependency for our properties for Spring Cloud version would be 2020.00. So I'm going to go ahead and re-import it, but I will not start it. Let me show you that it will be taken out. So you can see that this is gone. The other entry was gone. Only HTML worker is there. So now if I go ahead and stop the HTML worker also, it will go off. So what I'll do is I'll start the URL feeder service, and that should and HTML worker should go out and they should come in. So before that, what I'll do is I have to enable Eureka client. So let me enable the client and start this application run. So let's see if it is gone by now. No. So you can see here that renews, we have some counts over here coming up, right? So this application is fine now. URL feeder service should show up. So you can see that both is now showing up, but HTML worker should disappear in some time because it will not get the heartbeat from HTML worker. So it will take it down after the configured threshold that we have given. So this service, discovery service, is running for 14 minutes almost, you can see over here. And once the HTML worker is out, we are going to go ahead and start it again. I just wanted to demonstrate that how Eureka server uses the actuator in order to determine that the application is up or not. So you can see the instance info and this up, if you remember from our actuator thing, that we were getting this up message from the health endpoint, right? So that is the one that's being used over here. So you can see over here that renews, it has been renewed twice. So the renew count will start going up as and when the client renews the application with the server, right? Now you can see that HTML feeder service is gone. So now let's go ahead and start the HTML file worker, not feeder service, sorry for the name. And let me rerun it again. And now as it comes up, you will see that it will show up over here. And this all is happening because we have the lease expiration enabled to true, otherwise it will not take it down. So you can see that both of them is up. And now what we are going to do is we are going to make the similar changes to our gateway. So this is our gateway where we have already commented things. We change this, yeah. So what we are going to do over here is we are going to add a bunch of properties that we have been adding. So here also the default zone, prefer IP address, lease duration, fetch registry interval. So I want this guy, since this is the gateway, I want him to fetch the registry every 15 seconds and keep it with him. And now since we are using this Eureka thing over here, so what we are going to do is we are going to add the dependencies over here. So we'll go ahead and add it to the POM file over here. So once again, it's a Eureka client and it has the actuator. And no need to add the Spring Cloud over here because it's already been added. So you can see a completely different version over here. So each of our application is using a completely different version. And why we have it here is because we have been using the Zuul, and Zuul is also part of the Spring Cloud framework. So you can see over here that both are by Netflix, and the Zuul is also the part of Spring Cloud Starter, same as the Eureka client. So we are good over here. Again, for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to do a re-import, but it was not required anyways. Okay, so we are good over here, and what next we are going to do is we are just going to register this guy also as a Eureka client. So we are going to enable Eureka client. Okay, now let's run this application over here. So let it come up. Okay, we are good over here. So this is also coming up, and it should also go ahead and register itself. So this is up, so let's go ahead and check. So we can see that we have the gateway, right? And again, just to reiterate, we are not hard coding any of the properties, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to now use the name that we have given, right? We have given some names to the application like gateway, HTML worker, URL feeder. So we are going to use this name going forward and not the IP. What we'll do is quickly we'll open Postman and we are going to go ahead and check this. So if you remember, we have a couple of endpoints that we have created. We are going to see that we can hit those endpoints or not. So again, you can see that we have 5001 and we are calling URL feeder service, the ping endpoint. So you can see that you got a pong from URL feeder service. And similarly, what we can do is you can also call HTML worker and you'll still get it. So let's try for amazon.in. So let's get this copied. I'm having some trouble with my mouse. I need to repair this. So yeah, this is amazon.in. So you can see that all the data is present over here for amazon.in. And similarly, if I change this to URL feeder service, so we are going to get all the data about the URL. So it has been processed one time. It's HTML. and what time it has been done and things like that. So you will get all the details that you will need from this. So I hope you got a better understanding of how this service discovery works, right? So everything has to be registered as a client, as we have just seen on the diagram over here. So every instance that we see over here is nothing but a Eureka, and like we have enabled Eureka client for all of them. And so this is Eureka client. I'll put it as Eureka client, and this is a Eureka server. Mind it, this can also work as a Eureka client. In a real-time application, what we might have is more number of services, discovery services. So having just one could be a single point of failure. We don't want that. So this is a single point of failure, so we never want something like that. So in real-time application, we'll have multiple instances of the server as well. So this is Eureka server 1, this could be Eureka server 2. So in that case, these guys will also work as a Eureka client because they need to register with each other as well, right? So this is how it works. This is the gateway. This is where we have the gateway. The gateway fetches, it goes ahead and fetches the registry, and based on that, it works over here. And also one important part that I wanted to show you is if you remember, in our HTML worker we have been giving this, right? So now we don't need to bother about this, right? Because we know that we just need to use, we can directly fetch it directly from our server. So we can just use the URL feeder service directly. We can refer to it directly like this. Or what we can do is we can also use the gateway. So what we can do is, you know that it's running at 5001, so you can do like HTML worker as well. I'm sorry, URL feeder service as well. So you don't need to hard code anything, because this guy is also, so this HTML worker over here is also a Eureka client, right? It can go ahead and fetch it, and after fetching, it can use the name directly, right? We have the names over here. We can directly use the name URL feeder service. So you can see that there is a mapping, right? So sorry, I clicked it, problem with my mouse. So for each of the service, there is a entry over here, right? You can see that up, everything is up. It's been renewed 4 times. So we can get this entry directly from the Eureka server, and we can refer to it. So once we have the entry, we'll have all the details, so we can use it directly from here. We don't need to put the IP address and all. Let it change. Whatever is registered with Eureka, we'll get that and we'll use that. So I hope you got a good understanding of how this entire thing works, right? So we have seen it both in terms of diagram, and we have done it also. I am going to go ahead and check in the codes for you so that you can refer to it anytime you want. And yeah, stay subscribed, stay safe, and do let me know if you have any questions. I'll be more than happy to clear it up for you. So that's all from this video. See you soon again. There are a lot to cover. I know I have not been active for some days. I had some urgent things to take care of, but now since I am back, I'll be focusing both on the system design part, wherein we are designing a small application, and along with that, many of my friends have suggested me to continue with the coding, so I'll be starting over the coding part as well. So yeah, see you guys soon, and expect more frequent videos going down the line. And sorry once again for the delay in this video. It's been more than 2 weeks, I guess. So see you guys. Bye bye and take care.